I'm Charity, and this is my sister Sara. We're two filmmakers with a desire to return to our roots of hands-on art projects, and we're taking on Wichita one color at a time. I wanted to create Color Me Wichita to combine both passions of art and video production, as well as highlighting other Wichita artists. A lot of people may not think of Wichita, Kansas as this hub for creativity, but in our time of living here, we've watched it grow and thrive. Just take a simple drive around your neighborhood and you'll see pockets of art here and there.
We have recorded 2 Color Me Wichita episodes at this point. The very first one was pretty introductory, so we did our own challenge, try to add some form of Wichita history based off of the 2 award-winning documentaries that we've put together. The second episode that we've done, we went to the Sedgwick County Historical Museum and we interviewed Zach. He's an artist, he also works there, and he's a really great charcoal artist.
Both of those episodes have been fairly short. They've kind of just been set up as fillers or introductory videos that play before our screenings. We'll start off with a Color Me Wichita episode, and then we'll go into whatever movie we're screening that day. The special thing about this particular episode of Color Me Wichita is that it kind of wasn't supposed to happen. We were actually planning on doing something different, maybe looking into culinary arts or photography, wanting to do something different than a typical drawing or painting. But this story was so good and there was so much information and so much to see, we had to make it longer.
A few years ago, I was looking up like roadside attractions, you know, what kind of abnormal, what kind of unusual places does Wichita have that I guess is considered off the beaten path or something that people don't talk about much, or you have to be a native of Wichita to really know about this stuff. And that's how I found out about Steampunk Village.
Driving by Steampunk Village, we've done that numerous times, and every time we drive by, we're like, we should stop and go into that place. From right across the street, all you see is the fence, and you can see all of the things that are kind of peering over the fence. So there's a wizard, there's a bird, a lookout tower, and so it's visually interesting, it catches the eye, but since it's in a neighborhood, you're very likely on your way to another place. And so when we decided today's the day we're gonna go, I was very excited to see what was actually behind the fence.
My first reaction going into Steampunk Village, it was unusual, but in a really cool way. I love seeing abstracts and stuff done using different types of mediums. So there was a lot of metals and you can actually identify some of the stuff, like you could see like a colander or like silverware, stuff like that. So it's always cool seeing something that can be repurposed. Oh, it's another dragon.
It's another dragon.
It's another dragon.
Oh, are these the eyes?
It's got lights for eyes. I'm assuming at night things light up.
Is this the guy from A Bug's Life?
Looks like it.
Walking into Steampunk Village was like entering into one of those I Spy books where you have a bunch of things that are all unique and you have to find one individual piece. And I read all of those books growing up multiple times and I loved it. So I was kind of like a child reliving this real life version of walking into one of those books. I just noticed these are all crushed soda cans. These are all the bottoms of it. We can see the pop tab here. The fun thing about all this is looking at everything up close and seeing what he made everything out of.
I'm very familiar with the steampunk style. It's not my style personally, but I do admire people that can actually do that. So it is a really cool look. And I mean, I know it's in the title, Steampunk Village, but you definitely see that everywhere. I think it takes a lot of artistic ability to create a likeness of a real person. I do kind of wish that I could do something like that to that extent.
We were walking around Steampunk Village and we turned a corner and we saw this door that said welcome. There's a lock on this door, but not on this one.
I mean, it does say welcome, so should we...
Do you want to feel welcome?
Let's find out.
When you open the door, there's these winding steps that take you up to the clock tower, which when you're on the ground, it doesn't seem very tall, but when you're up in that space and you look down, you realize you're pretty high up. And the fun thing about the clock tower is that he has heads that stick out the window. So when you're looking out the window, it's like you're there with two of your friends looking down at Steampunk Village Kingdom, and you can see everything that's in the first yard where the museum is, and you can see a little bit that's behind that second fence where his workshop is. It's very fortunate that Gary leaves his phone number on his sign out front, because Sarah and I had to talk to the mastermind behind Steampunk Village.
I didn't realize that I had met Gary before. While I was still showing off my Wonderland Park documentary, I got a text from someone that knew Gary that had actually researched Wonderland Park and hadn't seen my film. So we met at a coffee shop and I showed him my film and he loved it a whole lot. I realized in retrospect he mentioned about Steampunk Village, but I didn't put two and two together.
Well, I grew up here and in the South Side. And then moved around the country some and eventually came back. So I've been here 40 years now. Bought that house across the street and then later bought this one because I wanted this workspace, which didn't look like this when I bought it. When I retired, I had tools, time, some skills, and started piddling, and this is what happened. Did a little art of one kind or another. In school, you know, and then along the way, little drawings and things, nothing special.
One thing I realized about Gary is that he's very modest. I know artists are sometimes known for their egos, but he's actually just seemed like a down-to-earth person, but he just creates really abnormally cool abstract work.
I ran on to the idea of steampunk, and I liked it. And I was looking for something that caught my imagination, and it did. And so I started doing a few little things, and pretty soon I did something I really liked. I said, whoa, this has potential. And it just kind of juiced everything, and I just went from there. This helmet here is made out of a paint bucket. And so, you know, I just started making things, turning different old things into new things. And or into more interesting things.
So yeah, have you actually worn it, or is it just,
sure.
For actual? Actually, I like that.
Yeah, it was used for a Halloween costume, actually, originally. We did Halloween out here on old London at the time. People bring their kids and call their friends. So we've had as many as 600 people come through on Halloween night. If the weather is good, we have Halloween. If it's below freezing, we don't.
The front of the museum was fascinating, but getting a chance to go behind the second fence was even more exciting because then you get to see all of the things that have yet to be created. There are fan blades and stacks of wood and light bulbs and anything that you could imagine, anything that you could find in a junkyard, anything that's probably out in your garage or in your attic, is probably back in Gary's workshop. It's like a blank canvas that's all stacked on top of each other.
Yeah, this is basically the junkyard where everything comes from. Most of it I get out of a junk trailer that's available to me to go through if I want to and take what I want. I like to use metal as much as I can, whatever will endure. But the things that I build out of metal last longer. This is a piece that I'm building right here. This is a model that I made earlier in the week. And so this is in process.
So you make a prototype first?
I found that to be the best thing. This is made out of cardboard. Whatever I can do with cardboard, I can basically do with metal.
How long does it typically take to finish one of these?
It just depends on how hard I stay with it. I can do a piece and start it and finish it. I have some of them in 2 days because I'm working like 12 or 14 hours a day. But I'm getting older now.
I think one of the things that I definitely admire about him, he has reached this level of self-assurance that I definitely strive to have. We were asking about what would happen to his work. Is he trying to leave a legacy after he's gone? He was like, it's probably gonna go away after I'm gone. You know, and he didn't have a care in the world. He simply enjoys the art, he enjoys the process, and he really likes sharing it with other people, especially those pieces that have a lot of meaning to him.
Take you across the street and show you my house right.
Oh.
That's where the cardboard stuff is. It can't be out here.
If you're comfortable with that, we'd love to come.
I never thought that he would actually let us into his own personal house, but his house is just as interesting as the stuff outside.
Now this is something I'd rather not invite just everybody to. You know, I'll take them through the place over there, but not very many people get the full tour.
Going into his house, it was almost magical, and I don't want to use that in a cheesy way. He actually mentioned that he always wanted to be Geppetto creating Pinocchio, and that's a very good comparison.
It's like going into a toy maker's shop. In a way, it was kind of enchanting.
This thing is made out of an old sewing machine and a clock. And using the old sewing machine parts.
Once we got to that point and I was like, these are all made of everyday objects, we could probably make something. And so I asked Sarah if she wanted to join me and humor me in my crazy ideas and see if she wanted to make something. And she said yes.
So one of the main purposes of Color Me Wichita is not only spotlight an artist, but for us to try to do something in the style of the artist. So this was a pretty big challenge to create something that looks either steampunk-ish or at least something that kind of looks like it was made from metals.
When we were on our way to the thrift stores, we were kind of deciding, what should we build? That's always the question when you're starting an art project and you don't know what you're gonna make until you see it. A lot of the materials that we had when we were making our sculpture just seemed to fall in place. You just have to be in the moment and let inspiration strike. See, stuff like this could be handy, that little birdcage thing.
The very, very first object that we found, it almost looked like a hybrid between a wine bottle and a very skinny birdcage. And we knew that was going to be our foundation piece, and we just kind of had to find other items to kind of go around this bottle.
Sarah was a little more methodical than I was. I was just grabbing everything off the shelves and trying to piece it together. And then whatever we didn't want, we would just put it back when we were finished.
This would still be her neck and collar, I guess.
I'm really not sure about the origin of some of the things that we found, but it was a wired apple basket, and we ended up using that as the collar. And I saw this chair that had these 3 little wired circles. It was also made of metal, and it fit perfectly inside the bottle that we found.
We were having trouble trying to figure out what we could use for a face. That was the biggest challenge. Charity ended up finding a play theater mask. It was perfect. It already had the eyes, nose, and mouth already attached to it.
We were looking for a face. The bottle that we had was hollow all the way through. We had wanted to make a face. We had wanted something to stick out up top because otherwise it would look bald. And so we were trying to figure out if we should put feathers or pipe cleaners. We saw cotton balls, we saw yarn, and eventually we saw this corner where they had some artificial flowers. On the bottom shelf, I found this long stem of leaves. It looked metallic even though it was artificial. It was basically a perfect fit. Before we left the thrift store, we actually took some time to assemble our sculpture to see if each piece is going to fit where we wanted to, if things were going to look good. And so eventually we went to another store to buy spray paint and to discuss what colors we wanted to make everything. The original color of the bottle was more of a maroon, but we wanted another color to make it stand out. So we decided to go with a teal color. And then the collar, the apple basket, we wanted to change it up a bit. We also sanded down the mask that we found because there was already a painted figure on it. There was a lot of glitter on it. And so once it was nice and smooth, she spray painted that white. And that way we could basically start with a blank canvas.
When it came time to assembling this piece together, I personally was a bit nervous about that because we had a very tight budget. We didn't really want to do anything that involved welding or soldering. I've never done any of that, and we didn't have that much time to go through that. So we're like, we want to find something something that we can just super glue. It was almost treating it like it was some kind of surgery. So I was trying to be really concentrated, and super glue is notorious for sticking to everything and not letting go, including skin.
I did have a small accident where I did glue my fingers together, but only once. Obviously everything is all right now. We got to a certain part of the assembly process where we were kind of just sitting around and waiting for things to dry. So in the meantime, I decided to work on the mask. I pulled out my sketchbook, drew 3 different masks, 3 different patterns, and I eventually landed on just a really simple pattern of keeping with the same color palette of having a teal and having a maroon chunk on the mask and doing some swirly patterns. At the end, we had these little jewels that we put around the eye, which really make the mask stand out. And so I didn't want to do too much paint that would take away from the embellishments that we had.
We also found an unusual necklace. It looked like a bunch of skinny flathead screwdrivers. It was perfect. And it kind of had that rustic steampunk-ish look.
Another piece that we found, and it was a gold necklace and it had a coin on it. So we eventually put the necklace on top of the forehead.
Once everything was finished, that was when I said, oh my gosh, we actually created something that it was good.
I was proud of the fact that we did it in a short amount of time. We were able to use our creativity at what I feel like was an accelerated rate, and it turned out really good. We went to a couple of thrift stores and found some things and created something. So yeah, we would love to show you.
I'd love to see it.
Okay, good.
Yes.
I appreciate the enthusiasm. I get nervous sometimes when I have to show another artist my work. You know, a lot of people call it imposter syndrome. When we showed the piece to Gary, admittedly, I was not excited about it.
You interact with people. There's the general common courtesies that you pay to other people. Hi, how you doing? I'm fine. How are you? So I was kind of prepared with my generic answers of, oh, thanks. That's very nice of you to say.
Wow. Nice.
Okay.
Yes.
This is a big deal because
yeah,
you're such a master at creating just these amazing sculptures. So
that's as good as anything I've done. I mean, that's great.
He was excited. He absolutely loved it. He wanted to have it. And that actually made me feel really good. And I think that's something that I think a lot of artists need to have once in a while. I think that's a good way to not only to boost your confidence, but just for affirmation that you are an artist. You're doing a really good job.
Excellent. That's really wonderful. Yeah. Don't diminish that in your mind. That's significant.
That's high praise from someone who has made lifelike sculptures and understands how to create something.
This was a pretty big challenge, at least for me. Again, going out of the comfort zone, using different types of mediums that I really hadn't played around a whole lot, but it was very unusual. And considering we only had a short amount of time to really do this, it was good.
One of the hardest things about being an artist is making the time to be an artist. For most of both of our careers, we have had multiple jobs. Trying to find time to work in our video production, which is an art form, or regular tangible art, that is very, very difficult. So creating our documentaries, creating our series, our social media videos, it's really a labor of love.
This was a really great experience for me. I really enjoyed meeting Gary. When you see something like Steampunk Village, I think you expect some eccentric, but the stuff we saw was amazing.
He's a grandfather, he's an artist, an inventor, an engineer, a cat dad. Gary's kind of the complete one-of-a-kind package. I'm just glad that we have taken time to document this experience. I'm hoping that future episodes will open doors where I can experiment with different art forms and see if I'm any good at it.